Hello, this is Dilan Singh and I'll be showing you my computer science NEA project, which is my stock market fintech investment tool. This specific video is about post-development testing for evaluation, and I'll be testing for the three things it requires in the marking criteria: usability features, robustness of my code, and my code's functionality. And all these three things must align with my client Tristan Pagdens' wishes, what he wants in the code, the essential features to be able to show Mr Forsyth that my code is fully operational, runs as expected, and runs as desired by my client Tristan. So I'm gonna load the terminal, I'm gonna run my code, and it should output here as expected. So here we go, stock market simulator fintech investment tool. So we have this GUI, which I'm using Streamlit for, was used because of its because of, first of all, being a web app which my client desired, which I also found quite useful, and its functionality in terms of user input, graphing, and color scheming as well, which I will get to. So the page defaults to the stock tracker here. So you click this, and it will change you to another page. For example, if I click these two, they'll go onto the other pages of this project. So it defaults to stock tracker as it should, as my client requested, and my client also requested that a desired feature, so not essential but desired, could be that my GUI, graphical user interface, contains a light and a dark mode. And so if I go into the settings here, so one of the reasons why this GUI is quite useful in my opinion is because its settings are quite unique. It's got inbuilt wide mode, it's got inbuilt light and dark features. You can edit themes, you can change the colors around. Doesn't have to be light or dark, could be whatever color scheme you desire. Green, as my friend Joe wishes with his program, but Tristan here specifically wanted light and dark mode, and as you can see, light mode, my program still outputs, which as expected, you can still read it. All the colors are fine. So if I go back to dark mode, I can start talking about the stock tracker and how I'll be testing out the functionalities of this. So I've got the stock tracker button here, I've got the user input bar here, I've got another user input here, and obviously the output is the graph. So first of all, we have the search bar where the user would enter a stock ticker as written here. So obviously a ticker is a 4-letter reference to a stock. So for example, Tesla, TESLA, gets shortened down to TSLA for its ticker. And so that will be an example of valid testing Tesla with all caps, and we can try from MSFT Microsoft, and the graph outputs correctly and updates. So valid testing is good, is as expected, is as my client wanted. I can try erroneous data. So this would be data which wouldn't correlate to a ticker. For example, these numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, as tickers has to be letters referencing a stock. So 1, 2, 3, 4, code is running. It outputs no data found for the entered stock ticker. Please try again, which is definitely what we wanted. We did not want the program to crash. We wanted it to output an error message so the user can read it, so the user can understand what's wrong, so the user can go back and apply a ticker. Tesla. So we got erroneous data out the way, we got valid data working. So boundary data would be, for example, DoorDash is one of the newest companies in the S&P 500. So the S&P 500, which is that is the index being used for this tracker and simulator and investment tool, as requested by my client Tristan, because novice traders, the first step in investing would be to invest in a growth stock, maybe Microsoft, Tesla, one of these in the S&P 500 for a long-term investment. Obviously trading here is different, that's where the stock screener comes into. I'll get back to that. So boundary data would be DoorDash, one of the newest stocks in the S&P 500. We would be able to test our API Yahoo Finance if that's being regularly updated, if it outputs the DoorDash stock, and I'll input the ticker as requested, dash, and as you can see here, it outputs the price in USD over time. So therefore we can trust the API that is being updated regularly. So this is good for my client, as they're going to be using this day to day, looking at the stocks, looking at the prices. Then we need to make sure it's accurate. So I can test, so boundary data has been tested. I can test invalid data. So an invalid data would be, for example, literally invalid, something that's not a stock ticker but not erroneous. And as you can see here, same error message outputted as expected, no data found for the entered stock ticker, please try again. So we can also test lowercase. Lowercase works because we've added a dot upper to the search to the user input, so it aligns with the API, as all stock tickers must be uppercase. So we thought maybe novice traders may not know this, we need to tailor for them as our client requested. So TSLA in all lowercase should be able to output the Tesla stock, therefore the dot upper in the user input comes in. So that covers the search bar. So next we have the drop down menu. So obviously Tristan Pagdens would want to look at the last day's stocks, but he would also want to look at the last month, last 6 months, year to date, etc., etc. So he requests a user input to select the time interval as said here. So last day, the user would click it. The drop down menu would appear, and obviously we would go through them last month. So you can see here that the graph updates. The price in USD is still the y-axis, but the time interval, the x-axis, changes to suit what the user has selected. For example, go back to last 1 month, you can see here that it's different. It goes up in hours, and last 1 month goes more or less days. So we can go through the next one. Last 6 months, the graph is outputted successfully and correctly, as we have correlated this with our API's Yahoo Finance graphs, and we know that this is correct as determined in testing. So we have a year to date now. So here we go, graph outputted as expected, last 1 year. Main difference you can see here is that green is outputted, green obviously referencing profit, and if I go back to year to date, red referencing loss, which is as expected. So last 5 years, graph outputted, and finally max, the last selected time interval which the user can select, that's outputted correctly. So one of the other reasons we used the library Plotly for the graphing output was because of its interactiveness with the user. So there are features here. You can go full screen. You can drag and zoom in. You can select the time frame you want to look at and drag. you can reset the axis so it goes back to the graph. You can zoom in, zoom out. You can pan it so you can select where you want to look, zoom, and you can obviously click this, download the graph as a PNG, so for it to be saved on your computer. So if we go back to last day, the Plotly graphs user interactiveness is really helpful because it allows for my client Tristan and other novice traders to be able to select directly the time and time interval, obviously through here, as well as highlighting where they want to look at so they can make the best decisions about their investments. So that covers the stock tracker side of things. So if we move on to our next feature, the stock screener, which is important for traders and people that want to learn about the S&P 500 and which stocks are best for them. So if I go on here, it's running the get stock data from the API Yahoo Finance. So it would retrieve all of the S&P 500 stock data in a data frame. It would output the data frame. So the main issue we have here is that the initial fetching of data is taking some time. As you can see here, it's running. This is why we have implemented caching. So once the initial data has been fetched, all the filtering and all the user input would fetch the data from a cache, which is faster from secondary storage, and therefore that it would decrease the time wasted and increase performance due to caching. So also the main issue would be Wi-Fi, also user hardware, which I've labelled that in part A. But I think the limitation of it being slow the first time fetching, I think is outweighed by the functionality of the stock screener. And I've spoken to my client Tristan Pagdens, and he also said the same thing. So the stock screener would come into align with Tristan being able to decide which stocks look like they're gonna pack the most punch for the future. So once it's loaded here, you can see that it's quite in depth. So first things first, here we have the data frame output table showing the stocks in the S&P 500. You can scroll, and the filtering for the stock screener is on the sidebar here. So we have market cap, we have PE ratio, dividend yield, revenue growth, current price. These all have been set to minimum and maximum values to have to be able to have all the stocks in the S&P 500 output pre-filtering, being before the user has filtered. And obviously if you scroll down here, you can see that we have included the educational element, as Tristan Pagdens also requested, to help novice traders understand certain filters which they might have not been exposed to. So we have the market cap, and we have got the explanation and definitions and why that's used. PE ratio same, dividend yield, revenue growth, 52-week high and 52-week low. So we can test out the stock screener and the filtering. So if you check this, it's showing 474 stocks so far. If I move this, say, to 140, it's now showing 424. If I move it to 78, 331. So as you can see, it's updating in real time as the user is filtering the stock. This is due to the caching element. So it's super fast once you've initially fetched all the data, and therefore I think that counteracts significantly more, and the time you have to wait initially fetching the data. So if I go back to the maximum value, 474 displayed again. So this time I'm going to check out PE ratio. So I can move this to 121, we got 462, can move it to 48, 429, can move it to 24, 276. I can do the same for this slider. See, only one showing. Then we have at 5, 9. So this filter is also super responsive. It's a real-time updating all the data fetched from Yahoo Finance API correctly, and we've checked that. Next filter we can use is dividend yield. So obviously you can see now that the data frame table is being outputted and updated correctly as we've moved the filter. Same for revenue, move back from 494. Same for revenue growth. We can see that two stocks have this revenue growth, and then it changes as we're sliding the filter, going back to max. So we can do the same with current price. This also is updating in real time. So Tristan Pagdens and we both have realized that the filtering is successful, but the only negative side would be that there is not a user input search box to input specific integers which they want to be used in the filter, which I completely understand. The main reason why this wasn't done was due to the lack of time, but I've spoken to Tristan about it. The filters work, they update in real time. He said that's more than enough for himself and my other clients and stakeholders. So the next thing we're going to be testing is the data frame itself. It's super user friendly, user interactive. So we can use this search bar. We can type in valid data Tesla, highlights it, goes to it. We can type in erroneous data, nothing shows, and there's no results, which is as expected, as necessary. You can type in boundary data, dash, yep. Click enter, and it highlights it, goes to it. That's successful. We can type in lowercase, and it automatically changes it to uppercase, which is definitely necessary as accordance with the Yahoo Finance API using tickers in all uppercase. This allows it to be in full screen. So if we go back into full screen, you can definitely order the stocks by ticker, by company, by market cap, updating in real time, PE ratio, dividend yield, revenue growth, 52-week high, 52-week low, current price, and we can always just reset. Super fast. See, second time round, good due to the caching, no wait time as it's already been fetched in the cache. And for the novice traders, novice investors, we have the educational content here, tick in the box, which was required by Tristan, by me. So yeah, that's my program so far, and this is post-development testing for usability features, which I've covered all usability features, and robustness, we've covered that as well, and the functionality of the code. The code is definitely functional as accordance with Tristan's views. He's also used it. Thank you.